You see, most people don't plan their week. Not because they're lazy, but because no one ever taught them how powerful it is. They wake up Monday morning and just start reacting. Emails, texts, social media meetings, distractions dressed up as priorities. They lose their week before it ever starts. But let me tell you something. You were never meant to live your life on accident. You were meant to live by design. You were meant to run the week, not let the week run you. And that starts fake with a plan. Now, I'm not talking about some rigid minute-by-minute control of your time. No. I'm talking about clarity. I'm talking about intention. I'm talking about living with a sense of direction. Because if you don't decide what matters most each week, the world will hand you a list of its own. And let me warn you, it'll be urgent, it'll be noisy, but it won't be meaningful. That's why I always say, don't start the week until you've finished it. On paper, with purpose, with discipline. So, in this message, we're going to talk about just that. Why planning your week is non-negotiable if you want to build a successful life. We'll explore the mindset, the process, the rewards. Because remember, a success is not an accident. It's a plan, and it begins with your next 7 days. Let me begin with a simple truth. Either you run the day, or the day runs you. And if that's true of a single day, then what about the entire week? Most people don't realize this, but your week is your life in miniature. Your goals, your habits, your values. They all show up in how you use your week. And the tragedy, most people treat the week like it's just something to survive. They count down to Friday. They wake up Monday with dread. And in between, it's a blur. But I want to tell you something today. You were not born to drift. You were born to design, to shape, to build, to live intentionally. And it starts with a weekly plan. Imagine a builder showing up to construction site. He's got the tools, the bricks, the crew, but he forgot the blueprint. Now what chaos? Confusion, wasted time, wasted money, and eventually a building that doesn't stand. Life works the same way. Every week is a project, and every project needs a blueprint. That blueprint is your plan. Don't start the week until you have it finished on paper. That's not just advice. That's survival in a world of distraction. Why the week? People ask me all the time, Jim, why plan by the week? Why not just focus on today? Because the week gives you perspective. A daily plan is great, but a weekly plan shows you the forest, not just the trees. When you plan by the week, you don't just react to what's urgent. You respond to what's important. You make room for long-term goals. You prioritize what moves the needle. You align with your vision. Let me tell you what changed everything for me. One small habit, one powerful ritual. Sunday evening, pen, paper, silence, no noise, no phone, just me and my thoughts. I sit down and I ask myself, what matters most this week? What must get done no matter what? That appointments do I need to protect? Where do I need to grow, learn, improve? It's not about filling up every hour. It's about making time for what matters. You see, we all have the same 168 hours, but it's not how many hours you have. It's how many hours you manage with intention. When you don't plan the week, you become a victim of other people's priorities. A phone call here, a meeting there. Suddenly it's Friday and you haven't moved 1 inch closer to your goals. But when you plan ahead, you start owning your time. You start owning your choices. You take control. You're no longer a manager of time. You're a master of it. That shift from reactive to proactive, that's what separates the average from the extraordinary. Here's a question for Yug. If someone looked at your calendar for next week, would they see what's most important to you? Or would they see a bunch of obligations and none of your dreams? Your schedule is a mirror. It reflects what you really care about. If family matters, where's the time? If health matters, where's the workout? If growth matters, where's the learning? If legacy matters, where's the work that builds it? Don't just say what matters. Show it. Block time for it. Because if it's not scheduled, it's not real. Now here's something that might surprise you. Planning your week doesn't trap you. It frees you. Most people think structure is the enemy of freedom. But I'll tell you, a discipline creates freedom. Structure gives you space. Clarity gives you confidence. When your week is planned, you're not constantly wondering, am I forgetting something? Am I falling behind? Where did all the time go? You know, you're focused. You're in control, and that, my friend, is powerful. So let me challenge you. Before you rush into another Monday, take 1 hour. Sit quietly. Grab a pen. Grab your planner. And build the week before it begins. Because when you plan your week, you're not just managing time. You're designing your future. And if you do it week after week after week, soon, you'll look up and realize you've built something remarkable. Success is doing a few simple things right. Repeat it every week. Let me begin with a truth that's as uncomfortable as it is important. Most people drift. Not because they want to, not because they're lazy, but because they've never made the decision to take control. They wake up, grab their phone, scroll for a while, and just let the day happen. They answer emails they didn't plan for, say yes to things they didn't want, and spend time on things they didn't value. They're moving but going nowhere. And if you drift through enough days, you drift through weeks, then months, then years. I call it the slow slide. You don't notice it at first. One misforgotten goal, one more hour wasted in front of the television. It feels harmless. But day by day, little by little, you drift away from who you were meant to be. Let me give you something to remember. The pain of discipline is far less than the pain of regret. A regret doesn't show up with a loud bang. It creeps in slowly. You wake up one day and realize, I could have done more. I should have planned better. I wasted time. But it's not too late. You can still reclaim your time. You can still take control. And it starts with one word, discipline. Discipline is the great separator. It's what stands between what you want now and what you want most. You don't need more time. You need more focus, more structure, more intention. Discipline means doing what needs to be done. Even when you don't feel like it, it means deciding ahead of time how you'll use your energy, your hours, your attention. Because once the day starts, the world has a way of pulling you in 100 different directions. And without discipline, you'll chase everything and catch nothing. Here's where planning comes in. When you sit down, Sunday night, pen in hand, you're not just filling in boxes. You're taking a stand. You're saying, this week will not own me. I will own it. You're choosing who you'll become. Before the week even begins, you're building a life on purpose, not by accident. And that's what discipline really asks you. Choosing your future over your feelings. Here's a hard truthing everyone. Yes? You say to something that doesn't matter is a no to something that does. When you plan your week with discipline, you begin to see the difference. You ask, is this moving me toward my goal or away from it? Is this a distraction or a direction? Is this urgent or important? Because if you don't decide what your time is worth, someone else will decide for you. And trust me, they won't value it like you should. Discipline teaches you to guard your time like gold. Now, even with the best weekly plan, you'll still face temptations to drift. That's why I recommend something simple. A 10-minute check-in each morning. Ask yourself, what are my top 3 priorities today? What could distract me? What will I not do? It's like a course correction. It keeps the compass pointed north. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about correction. And correction is what brings growth. Let's get honest. You're not too busy. You're not out of time. You're just not living by plan. Here's a thought worth writing down. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put into the hours. Some people get more done in 4 hours than others do in 4 days. Why? Discipline, focus, planning. They've learned how to own the hour. They've learned that a few hours of focused effort beat days of scattered motion. So let me ask you, What would happen if you started protecting your time like it mattered? What would change if you started planning every week, not based on convenience, but based on commitment? Because you'll never change your life until you change how you use your time. And you'll never change how you use your time until you embrace discipline. Start now. Block the hours. Decide what matters. Say no to the noise. And remember, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. Have you ever looked at your week and wondered why it feels so empty, even when your calendar is full? I have. Years ago, I was busy, but not better. I was moving, but not forward. I had tasks, but no meaning. That's when I learned something that shifted my life. You don't just plan your week to get things done. You plan it to become the kind of person you truly want to be. See, life is not just about getting through Monday to Sunday. It's about shaping those 7 days in a way that reflects who you are and who you're becoming. Because if your schedule isn't aligned with your values, it becomes a trap. You get stuck doing things that don't matter, with people who don't lift you, in places that don't inspire you. It's not that the world is holding you back. It's that your calendar is. Most people don't realize it, but your calendar is a mirror. It tells the truth. It shows what you value. Not in words, but in time. A man might say, my health is important. But if I ask him, where is it in your schedule? And he can't find it, then it's not a value. It's just a wish. We all do this, don't we? We say we want to grow. We say we want to spend time with our kids. We say we want to write that book, start that project, build that dream. But our schedule even tells a different story. That's why planning isn't just about organizing your time. It's about organizing your values. I remember sitting down on a Sunday night years ago, frustrated, tired, asking myself, why do I feel so off? And it hit Meg. I wasn't living according to my deepest beliefs. I was living by habit, by obligation, by drift. I had to start asking better questions. Who do I want to be this week? What would a week look like that's filled with purpose, not just motion? It wasn't about cramming in more appointments. It was about giving time to the things that mattered most. The quiet moment in the morning to think. The evening walk to reflect. The call to someone I care about. The hour to study, to learn, to grow. When you start planning your week from your values, you stop waking up with stress. You start waking up with direction. You're not reacting anymore. You're creating. You're not checking boxes. You're building character. Some people say, I don't have time. But the truth is they do. They just haven't chosen to spend it on what truly matters. Every hour you give away without thought, that's an hour you'll never get back. But every hour you place with intention, that's a deposit into the life you want to live. And it starts simple. You sit down, you reflect, you look at the week ahead, and you ask what would make this week meaningful. Not just productive, not just busy, but meaningful. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't serve you. Maybe it's saying yes to something that scares you. Maybe it's simply showing up fully for the people who matter. The beautiful thing is, you get to choose, you get to design your days. And when your days reflect your values, your life starts to feel aligned. Not perfect, but powerful. Because now you're not just spending time. You're investing it. And as I've said many times before, don't let the minor things crowd out the major things. So take this moment right now and ask yourself, is the way you spend your week taking you toward the life you really want? If it's not, then start changing it. One decision, 1 hour, 1 week at a time. You don't need a new life. You need a new rhythm. And that rhythm begins with a week designed around what truly matters to you. We've all been there, haven't we? The end of the week arrives, and you look back and wonder where all the time went. It's not that you didn't do anything. You worked hard. You were busy. You checked off tasks. But at the end of it all, something feels off. You don't feel fulfilled. And the problem isn't in the work you did. It's in the work you didn't do. It's in the things you should have done, the time you could have spent differently, the choices you made that led you farther away from what you really wanted. This is where the weekly review comes in. If you don't take time to review your week, you're just drifting. You're reacting to life instead of designing it. You're letting the past slip away without learning from it. And you're heading into the future with no clear course. So let's change that. Every week, take some quiet time to reflect. This is your chance to look at what's working and what's not. To ask yourself the hard questions, to look back and say, did I spend my time wisely? Did I focus on what truly matters? Did I give my best effort? Where did I fall short? You see, the weekly review isn't just about ticking off boxes. It's about learning. It's about growth. It's about taking responsibility for your actions and your inactions. There's a saying I've always remembered. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the gift of reflection. When you stop for a moment and look at the week, you can see where you've succeeded and where you've missed the mark. But the key is not to beat yourself up about the mistakes you made. It's to learn from them. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think failure is permanent. They think it's something to avoid. But failure is your friend. Failure teaches. Failure corrects. When you look back at a mistake, ask yourself, what lesson is here for me? If you learn from your mistakes, you can avoid repeating them. Now, reflection is powerful, but it's not enough just to look back. You've got to look forward too. After you've analyzed your week, ask yourself this question: what do I want to achieve next week? You've learned from the past, and now it's time to take those lessons into the future. This is where you make a conscious decision to do better, to work smarter, to make different choices. You don't have to change everything at once. You just have to improve something. Maybe it's how you manage your time. Maybe it's how you communicate with your team. Maybe it's how you take care of your health. Maybe it's how you show up for the people who matter. But you've got to plan it. The truth is, if you don't plan for the future will come anyway. But it won't come your way. As you look at the upcoming week, think about this. What is one thing you can improve? What is one goal that excites you? You don't have to change everything at once. But make that one thing your focus. Make it the priority of your week. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to accomplish everything. But you do have to be intentional. As I've said before, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. The key to your success is to make progress toward your goal every single week. You see, success doesn't just happen. It's the result of consistent effort that you put in every single day, but also effort that you evaluate every week. So here's my challenge to you at the end of every week. Take time to review. Look at your calendar. Look at your goals. Look at your actions. Then ask yourself what went well this week. Where can I improve? How can I make next week better than this one? It's this simple act of review that allows you to adjust. It's what keeps you on track. And as you do this, you'll begin to realize that each week is a step forward, even if it's a small step. Each week is an opportunity to get better, to learn from your mistakes, to sharpen your skills, to get closer to your dreams. A weekly review is your chance to grow. It's your chance to reset, to refocus, to recommit. The best way to predict the future is to plan for it. But the best way to plan for it is to learn from the past. When you make reflection a habit, you create progress. And when you create progress, you create success. We've talked about the importance of planning your week. We've discussed how to design it with purpose. We've explored the power of reflecting and reviewing. But here's the question: how do you make all of this stick? How do you turn this weekly planning into more than just a temporary habit? It's simple, but it's not easy. The key is turning planning into a lifestyle. And that's where most people fall short. You see, a lifestyle is a series of habits. It's the things you do every day without even thinking about it. It's the choices you make, the actions you take, the way you approach life, not for a week, not for a month, but for the long haul. Consistency is the foundation of any successful lifestyle. You can't have an extraordinary life if you're inconsistent. You can't have a life filled with purpose and achievement if you're constantly switching gears. That's why weekly planning must become something you do without question. Not just when things are going well, not just when you feel motivated, but every single week. When you make planning a consistent habit, it becomes second nature. You stop thinking about it. You start doing it. And that's when the magic happens. Now, I'm not asking you to do everything at once. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in a day. Just take small steps. Start by dedicating a few minutes each week to plan. Review your goals, set your priorities, and then put it into action. Then, as you get more comfortable with it, make it a bigger part of your routine. The key is to build momentum. Because once you get a little bit of success, it becomes easier to do it again the next week. And before long, a planning will be so deeply ingrained in your life, you won't even need to think twice about it. A lifestyle isn't just about checking off tasks. It's about vision. It's about knowing what you want from your life and having a clear path to get there. When you plan your week, you don't just plan to be busy. You plan with purpose. You plan with direction. Ask yourself every week, what do I want to accomplish? How will this week bring me closer to my larger vision? And as you do this, something beautiful happens. You start to see your life take shape, like a sculpture being carved out of stone. Little by little, week by week, you start becoming the person you've always wanted to be. Now, this doesn't mean that you won't encounter setbacks. There will be challenges, obstacles, and failures, but don't see them as roadblocks. See them as lessons. When you make weekly planning a lifestyle, you'll begin to see setbacks as part of the process. They're not the end of the road. They're a part of your growth. And when you reflect every week, you don't just look at your successes. You look at your failures too. You ask, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust my approach? How can I improve next week? You'll realize that planning isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about constantly getting better. Consistency is what leads to long-term success. Planning your week isn't just about managing time. It's about managing your future. When you turn weekly planning into a lifestyle, you stop letting life happen to you. You start happening to life. You start taking control. You start directing your energy toward what really matters. And here's the truth: success is predictable. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's the result of consistent, thoughtful action. You can have an extraordinary life if you make extraordinary habits. And planning your week is one of those habits. So let me ask you, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? If you want a life of success, of achievement, of fulfillment, you must turn weekly planning into a lifestyle. Make it a non-negotiable. Make it something that you do every week without fail. And make it something that propels you forward. A lifestyle is not built in a day. It's built week by week, step by step, choice by choice. But here's the good news: it's in your hands. You have the power to create the life you want, and it starts with the simple, powerful habit of planning your week. Don't wait for success to find you. Go out and create it, one week at a time. Remember, success is not something you pursue, it's something you attract by becoming the person you're meant to be. And the person you're meant to be starts with how you plan your week. So, remember this: success is not a random event. It's a series of intentional actions day in and day out, week after week. When you make planning a part of your lifestyle, you're not just organizing your time, you're designing your future. Stay consistent, stay focused, and keep moving forward. Your best life starts now, one week at a time. Thank you for watching. Now go plan your week and make it count.